Oh, hello. God's sake. I was just chattering away to myself and I had muted myself. Excellent work. Excellent work, AD. So, I don't know why that does that because I need to not mute it. Hey Donna, hey Sharon, hey HMRC. One will try this again. So, we got through quite a bit yesterday and we were speaking about Kate yesterday and where our thoughts were, where we sort of were at in terms of, who is going to get the blame for this in the end, and who's going to get away with stuff, who should get the blame, who should be included, who should be excluded. Hey Jodie. And so I'm going to play this news article. There was a bit in it I was a bit like, I'm confused because you're referring to someone as a she, but we now know that person to be a he. And I'm not sure the timings of it, but it is TMZ that they are interviewing. So, TMZ. But they are interviewing this guy and they're talking about the 3 arrests. So I want to just touch on those. And then I want to look at what Kate, originally said. And then I kind of just want to then go into what was then next said and that was put out into the media regarding her exiting Argentina. Now, I know that some people think there is a whole web of things going on that could well include Liam Payne's girlfriend, and there are people that won't absolutely have it. But the thing is, with the charges that have been brought on the others, we need to look at this because ultimately she travelled as a next of kin or, travel partner, sharing accommodations, and she left him. And that there has to be questions asked about that if there was going to be charges for other people, except for the hotel staff, which that could change, but currently no charges have been made against the hotel staff. So you're either, you've got to charge everybody for abandonment, starting from the people that stood outside the room, right all the way back down to the person that was with him and left him, if they're going to go down the abandonment route. So let's just play this and see what you think on what they say.
Singer Liam Payne. If you weren't aware, the singer died just a few days ago. This was in another country, in Argentina. It was after he fell off of a balcony. I now want to bring into the conversation Michael Babcock. There's been an update so far. We know that 3 people were arrested in connection to this case. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's obviously only been 3 weeks since his death. And, when you heard that the authorities in Buenos Aires were investigating and they were really trying to get down to the answer to the question of where Liam Payne got these drugs from. Obviously, Liam Payne was in a foreign country. It's not, that he was from Argentina, and he's staying in this fancy hotel, this Hotel Casa Sur, and clearly had been under the influence of drugs. People that saw him said that he was acting erratically. There were drugs found in his room. There was paraphernalia found in his room. And there were drugs found in his system in the preliminary toxicology report. So then the question had become, where did he get these drugs from? And now today, 3 people are under arrest and have been charged in Buenos Aires, and 2 of them being directly connected to him actually allegedly getting drugs. So one of the people is a housekeeper from the hotel. Authorities believe that this person, this housekeeper, delivered drugs to Liam Payne by way of a hotel soap box. That this housekeeper stuffed drugs into this soap box, and that's how she was then able to deliver.
So you notice there how he says the housekeeper was able to do the stuffing of the substances into the Dove soap box and refers to this person as a she. Is this person a she? Do we know? Because I thought it was men. 3 males. Because the CCTV footage that we see, which we will look at, shows the exchange going on. I mean, this is footage that some people don't believe is involving Liam Payne, but there's those that are down there. To be honest, at the end of the day, if there's that kind of dealing going on, which wasn't in his room, and it was down in the basement, and all the members of staff are down there. They know what's going on, right?
The drugs to Liam Payne. There's somebody else who is allegedly a drug dealer who on October 14th, just 2 days before Liam Payne tragically falls to his death, this person is accused of bringing drugs to the hotel and supplying Liam with drugs. And the third person is said to be a friend of Liam Payne's who has been charged with a crime that's essentially abandoning someone.
We know that is Roger, Dodgy Roger, Rogelio, who, when he apparently left, said everything was hunky-dory.
Before death. The exact nature of that, the details of that charge are not known, but somebody who was seemingly with Liam before his death and then left. And it seems that authorities think that this person could have stepped in and possibly prevented this tragedy from happening.
And Michael, I do want to ask you, of course, we were also following the case that concerns the actor Matthew Perry. Folks were charged in connection to his death as well. Do you see some similarities here when it comes to, again, these police now going after the dealers when it comes to these major stars dying or overdosing, again, when drugs are involved?
I think that's a great question and a great point, and I absolutely do. It took a little bit longer in the case of Matthew Perry, whereas this investigation moved quicker. But yeah, I think clearly gone are the days where if somebody is going to take drugs, and I hope this is happening for everybody and not just celebrities, because I think everybody deserves justice from this standpoint. But gone are the days where if you take drugs and something horrible happens, that, okay, oh, hey, sorry, that person shouldn't have done drugs. And this was a known side effect. It's not like that anymore. And if you're a drug dealer out there and you're going to provide hard drugs to people and they lose their life, I think you've got to know and understand now that the authorities are going to come after you, and you could potentially pay a severe penalty in the form of going to prison for a very long time. So I think that's something probably, hopefully, that makes us all safer. And I absolutely do see a connection between the two.
Absolutely. And we did hear from his band members as well, speaking out after his death, again, speaking to just the life that he lived and the love that they had for him. Just such a sad story. But of course, one we will continue to follow here on Live Now. Michael Babcock with.
So I definitely think that he got that wrong, because I've just checked as well. You know, like sometimes when you think, oh, bloody hell, they've got that wrong kind of thing. Let's just swap the screens a minute. Let's swap the screens. Now, which one is it? It's that one, isn't it? Okay. Want to make sure that we get the right screen here. Bear with me. This whole swapping screens is a pain, but it has to be done this way sometimes. So, hey, right, Nick. This is the article that first came out when Kate left. So obviously you can see, you know, she's selfieing and all that business. So it says here that Liam Payne's girlfriend Kate revealed that she basically left Argentina, and she left Argentina because, what were the words that she used? I was so ready to leave. Honestly, I love South America, but I hate staying in one place for too long. And we were supposed to be there for like 5 days, and it turned into 2 weeks. And I was just like, I need to go home. Just totally omitting all of the information about her actual reasons for why she actually left. Either don't speak to the press at all, or wait until you can say the truth, because it doesn't look good that you're initially saying, well, you know, it is what it is. I thought, you know, it was a lot for me to deal with, you know, this being on holiday longer than I needed to be. And, you know, Sorry, I'm just moving wires around because it's doing my head in. And I just, you know, just too long in the one same place. Let me just get rid of that completely. So that's what she initially said. And then it wasn't long afterwards that we got to the bottom, really, of the facts of the case, or the facts of the matter. Let's just switch. Sod you, advert. Don't want an ad. So, according to the Economic Times, I did see it in the Independent, and then when I went back, I couldn't find the same article, but they're kind of same format, so probably one or the other. But I mean, the Economic Times seems like not the Sun or the Mirror. So, before leaving Argentina, it's well documented. It was then said that she gave him some tough love. Stop using rugs, or it's her or the rugs. And this was what a friend that had leaked this information. So she was talking about it, and it's kind of come out. So, you know, clearly, if you are in the media, got to choose your friends carefully and choose what you tell your friends carefully. But in one sense, we're being told, well, she left him because there's just too much trouble being on holiday for way longer than it needed to be, and just like being in one place, don't like it too much. And then in the next breath, we're being told the truth, that it was Ruggs or me, and he chose Ruggs and she left. Now, some people would say she's got the complete right to bugger off, this, that, and the other. Some people might question that. I certainly question that because, like I've said in many of my lives before, I certainly wouldn't have left Mrs. AD on holiday, even if I had to stay in a separate hotel, as long as I was in the country. And I kind of left it yesterday with, so who did she contact? Who did she contact to make sure when she buggered off that Liam was going to be okay? And we can clearly see that Roger, Dodgy Roger, Rogelio, whatever you want to call him, he's not the person to have left Liam with. Clearly, he is not the person to have left Liam Payne with. And she must have known that. And if she was giving him an ultimatum, he wouldn't have been the one that you'd have said, watch over my Liam. You would have contacted somebody that could have come, even if you had to stay while someone else came along and looked after him, and then you could go, just so that, you know, because you're the one consistent in someone's life, and if you're the one consistent, you're the calmer, aren't you? You can calm someone down, potentially, maybe not necessarily in the moment, like, but at the point where he's being manhandled in that reception of that hotel, she could have been the one that could have calmed him down. And if she couldn't have been there, someone else could have been the person to calm him down. Hey, Skyline. So it's a tough one. Some people are just not going to have Kate attacked. Fair enough. Up to them. Some people won't dare question this. I'm questioning it because I think it needs to be, only because as well, you know, you've got other people that were around at the time who either supplied or were in contact with him and left him. Now, this is saying that she knew he was in a very bad condition. He was not himself, and he was dicing with Ruggs. And she knew that, and she left him. So according to the Argentinian law, she's abandoned him knowing that he is in this kind of state here. But she has been given, at the moment, as far as we know, a pass to go. And the other three have copped it mostly. However, that may change. I think the abandonment charges may have been dropped. I need to just double check it because I'd seen something about it. I know that the jurisdiction wasn't there, but I know that I saw that they'd appealed it and it was rejected because the ones that had slapped those charges on didn't have the jurisdiction to do so. But that doesn't mean that the local prosecution won't slap those charges on if they apply. But if they apply, as far as I'm concerned, they've got to go all the way back. All the way back. Because she's the travel companion. She knows him better than anyone else. She knew exactly what was going on and she fucked off. And guised it under, oh, well, it's a bit much for me staying in one place for a little bit too long. Okay, Skyline. And so I just call that out. And this came from a friend who communicates with Kate on a regular basis. Of course, his rug use would have been causing some drama, but now look what's happened. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on in his life. Who knows what triggers there are? And if you are going with someone that's got a history of rug use, you know, you kind of know what could or couldn't happen, and you could take yourself out of the drama without completely abandoning someone in a country that is not his own, and seemingly he ends up getting in a state. I think other things triggered him. Things happened, but I just, you know, you can't slap a charge on for one person for abandonment and ignore everyone else. So you've either got to do it for all of them, and I'm talking the reception staff that was manhandling him, right back down to the person who was his companion, who knew what he was doing. And that's just my opinion. No, you don't just abandon someone. I wouldn't abandon someone. Even if I couldn't stay in the same room as them, you know, I would stay in the same country and be like, right, I'm next door. I'm in the hotel next door. Give the number to whoever you need to give it to, reception staff, whoever, and arrange, even if you arrange for someone trustworthy. But clearly, if she knew Roger was part of the problem, bringing in rugs and that, then she wouldn't have left him, or shouldn't have left him in his care, if it was indeed Roger that she was left in charge. But I can't see it if he was supplying. I know some people just like to be referred to by their name just while they're over here. You know how it is. The friend says she threatened him with the rugs, or her, and she was forced to leave the situation as he decided to use the rugs. The friend then goes on to say that she believed she was practicing tough love. Yeah, tough love was what we're calling it. If it had been the average Joe up the road practicing tough love and then the husband ended up deceased, they'd end up in being arrested. Probably 100%. Because the average Joe don't get away with anything. In the past, when the singer has extended their vacation in Argentina, Kate told friends that staying with him was like being in a hostage situation while they were at sea. Now, how is that? Because Liam doesn't like being in hotel rooms because of his past in One Direction, because he feels like a hostage. So surely being out and about and busy is a good thing. And if you didn't like traveling and extending your travel stays with him, don't travel with him. If every time I went on holiday, I wanted to throttle Mrs. AD and it was a horrible experience every single time we wanted to do something or extend on something, I just wouldn't I just wouldn't go. I just wouldn't go with that person. Because what you're saying here now is we're going down a different road here, aren't we? Because how is it like being a hostage with him on holiday, but not being being kept a hostage when you're just living together or staying together in your own home? Surely you're going to feel more cooped up in your own home. You can leave your own home and do what the fuck you like. When you're on holiday, you can do what you want. And yeah, you obviously have to be a bit more wary because you're abroad and that, but you if you are at home, if you are on holiday feeling like a hostage, what the hell are you feeling like at home? Basically, then you shouldn't be together, correct? Because it sounds like if she can't put up with him on a vacation and it's an extended and it's a nice place to be, then what the hell is it like at home? Sounds to me like excuses. Sorry, Kate, I'm calling you out on it. That sounds like an excuse. Her friend says that she had to go. So her friend's obviously going to defend a friend. Everyone was getting really sick from it, and it was her hope that he'd go, okay, I'm coming. And clearly that wasn't the case. He stayed. Apparently she gave additional context to the friends after seeing a media interview of the alleged rug dealer who at the time was under investigation, Brian. Brian Nahuel Paynes stated in the interview he had done nothing wrong. He'd admitted to having 2 hotel meetings with the singer, but insisted he did not sell any rugs to him. He just was like doing them with him. Cassidy accused Paynes of lying and not being trustworthy. Well, of course she is. And she is looking, I mean, we could say, well, is what you're saying honest? Is what you're saying true? Are you being completely honest? Because the first statement you made doesn't match the new statement that's been made. Which statement is the truth? Are either of them the truth? The police report states that Payne had a toxic mixture of rugs in his system. So this is all speculation at the time, I think, from the stuff that was in the room. They said that he had the pink cocaine in him, and the crack, because probably from what they were seeing, and that was just the initial information coming out. It wasn't like an official autopsy toxicology. It was just, well, that he's had a mixture of drugs in his system at the time of his death. So, it is what it is. And I think that, plus with the information that comes later, people are questioning it because it's like, well, you said that he had this and he had that in him, but the police report, it says the report, not toxicology. They are different things. If it's the toxicology, they're going to say the toxicology report would state that. But what they're saying is, from what they can see in the room, he had this mixture of rugs in his system at the time of his death. So who knows? Someone could have staged that photograph to make it look like he had all that in his system, because according to the actual toxicology report, he didn't have that in there. In fact, he only had a fraction of what everyone was kind of led to believe. Now, she's also accusing, she is looking forward to seeing what happens when he is prosecuted. I wouldn't sit there too pretty at the moment, Kate, right? Because this could be you if it rocks out that really you shouldn't have left him and you abandoned him and you are his travel companion and girlfriend. Now, we know that he spent the last 2 hours with the ladies and they drank with him. So we know he ordered those 4 bottles of whiskey. That's a lot of whiskey between 3 people, but it's not 4 bottles of whiskey for 1 person. And I'm not being funny. Would the sex workers have drunk whiskey? I don't know. I do not know. There was something there was a video of her doing her traveling, and it was like, "Hey guys, I'm not with Brian. Sorry, I'm not with Liam. Look, I'm definitely not there." Like, I can see why people are thinking what they are thinking, right? Because it just kind of looks like, yeah, hey, I'm not there. I've left. And then this happens and it's like, yeah, hey, I wasn't there. I left. You saw me. You saw me. Bit like creating your alibi, isn't it? Before anything happens. Now, let's go to this CCTV. CCTV. Not Brian. Liam Payne. Right, now does this show the actual CCTV footage? Because I'd like it to blow up. I know this is the recent one. CCTV, Liam Payne. Basement. Do 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 do. No, this is not what I had expected. Is this the one? I want the actual footage. Definitely wearing a t-shirt, maintain it. I want the footage. Two different tops on, 100%. Agree, David. I agree. Especially when you know that they come from a background of drug usage, you know? That's not what I wanted. Definitely not a woman, Thames. Oh, that wasn't what I wanted. Very disappointed. Why can't I ever bloody find anything on it that I want? And now my computer's going to go, not today. They should indicate to someone or anyone who was in the time there's a vulnerable situation. What they should have done was call the authorities. Yeah, well, they called the what do you call it? Like, why isn't So she saw the devastating, disturbing CCTV footage that we all saw. Oh God, yeah. Do you remember that? Oh, where we saw I just want there to be the video. Why can I not find this bloody video? It has to be on here because for some reason I feel like the footage has been undershadowed now by the newer pictures. Wait, let me just put something visual on for you while I'm looking for this, because otherwise it's going to be painful. Okay. Let me just pin that comment as well. Okay. Let me just put that video on with no sound on in the background, and you can watch that, and then I'll try and find what I'm looking for. Because on my iPad it's different, on here it's different, and it has to be on here because I'm screen sharing, and I can't screen share where there's no tabs, you see. I might be able to, but I want to mess with that function before I start doing anything like that, because let's play the 911 call again. Is that the 911 call? No. Bear with me. Just put that on for you while I know we've seen it, but at least it'll give you a different visual while I'm looking. Just check that's on there. Okay. No, I personally don't think that they cared. We may have to just go with stills on here, which is a bitch. Just want not, we'll have to just talk about the photos, which is a pain in the arse. What the fuck? That's think we have it. Okay. I'll have it. No, give me. Don't be a bitch. Or your life, stupid. That's often the case, though, isn't it? Hey, Nick. Nick is back. Back again. Nick is back. Nick is back. Nick is back. Nick is back again. Dude, should have just gone straight to the source, really, shouldn't I? So this is the CCTV footage. Some people think it's fake. Can't be Liam. Some people don't think it's fake. I've got questions. My people that follow me on the old TikTok know that I have questions. There is no sound on here, but I'll put the sound on anyway. So we have an arrow pointing at the dude on the chairs. Now, why have they blurred the face out? Number one. Then you've got that person there. And then here in the elevator. So instantly you've got someone here that knows what's going on. Someone here that knows what is going on. And this person here that knows what's going on. And a fourth person down in the basement who also knew what was going on. Must be a problem within this hotel. Now, in one image, we see him in the sleeveless t-shirt. But here he is definitely wearing a t-shirt. Okay, you can see that he is wearing a long sleeve t-shirt. Now, somebody has said to me that the reason that he had the t-shirt on is because he would change for fans. And then someone else has said he hadn't taken his clothes and changed in days. So I'm not sure, obviously I wasn't there, so I cannot confirm, deny any of it. But neither can I say that I can see tattoos on this arm, but the image isn't the best. And this dark patch here could be tattoos. I don't know. But the t-shirt is 100% different. But TMZ label that as Liam, but this is TMZ, and we know TMZ for 99% of it is trash. So they're saying that is Liam Payne. And then he goes back in the lift. But all those people in that company know this deal is going on. Some of them are just carrying about their business as per normal. Boom, boom, boom. Gotta love a bit of TMZ, boom, 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 haven't you? So that's going on down there. All them 4 members of staff, to me, are complicit if they're talking about dealing. It makes them complicit. Now, let's look inside of Liam Payne's room. Mm-mm. I don't know if it doesn't change over with me. It's a real pain in the arse. I definitely need a better system than this. But hey, I'm still learning. So we should now be able to see this page, or you should be able to in a minute. So here we've got all these alleged substances on the table. Some people say that it was made to look like that they've had the time to kind of make it look like that. But obviously it doesn't show great. And you can see why the police made that statement in their report, that there was some stuff in his room. Now, these images got leaked out like within minutes of people finding out that Liam Payne had died, and from sort of the perspective where I was sat, I kind of definitely felt very much that we couldn't prove at the time. But over the days, that information became confirmed, and we know that this was the state of the room. Now, if we look at the TV, I can see this TV better now, so I can see the bed in the reflection. I am not seeing a watch in this image. I'd love to be able to blow this up, but I don't think I can. But I can, on this bit here, I can see a bed. And then this is all smashed up. Now, I know someone's gone into this and, I can see this reflection and I can see that reflection. And to me, it looked like the faces that you can see in the clouds if you look hard enough, or in a sonogram. But here, there's what they were saying was the watch. I don't think that's the watch. I don't think it looks like a watch. And what is it reflecting from exactly? Because there is no watches here, and this is the floor. And then from the floor, you've got the bed, obviously. Exactly. Exactly. How do we know? Yeah, I don't think it's a watch. I think it's just wishful thinking, maybe. And then there was this stuff found in the sink of the hotel, confirming to the police, I suppose. Now, this stuff could have been put in there. It could have been put in there. It could have been in there for a few days, couldn't it? Because we get different versions as we go down the room now as to what actually happened, who was present, and things in the storyline don't quite add up. So, I want to go back to where I came from. TMZ. Oh no, it wasn't TMZ, was it? Was it TMZ? Yeah, it was TMZ. So in the earlier videos and stuff, we were told he didn't like the hotel room. And we knew that. And that was where I was when I'd kind of, in my head, I'd kind of put together that my thoughts on this was something had obviously gone on. Something had triggered something. Don't know what, because I wasn't there and I can't say. But in my mind, I'm thinking, right, so we know from the call, from everything we've been told, that they basically put him in the room and wouldn't let him out. So locked him in the room. We learn that he doesn't like being in hotel rooms. So to me, that said he tried to escape. And that's how I personally think he'd fallen. Because I was never buying that he just, even if he took a run into that balcony, he still wouldn't bloody go forward and over. He would literally have to kind of like lift himself over. literally pull him so his weight takes him, because it is high enough to prevent that. And I was just like, there's no way he just whoopsie daisied over that bloody balcony. And I can't, the only way I can see that he might be semi unconscious is if he perhaps tried to climb it to get down and then passed out. That's the only way in my mind that I can physically see that this is something that could have happened. And it would make total sense to me, which if it was the case, then we know, don't we, that this is a problem. Because if he was locked in his room against his will, where does that leave people? And I've kind of said that, you know, from a hotel point of view and a hotel perspective, the hotel is never going to want, number one, Liam Payne's death on their books. But unfortunately, they now have Liam Payne's death on their books. They have that. But what they also don't want is to have any culpability, any connection, anything that can see them doing anything wrong on that book as well. So me personally, I personally think to this day, until I'm proven otherwise, and it's just my opinion for educational and entertainment purposes only, that whoever this Argentinian journalist is, I kind of feel that they were put in there to say they'd seen him pass out over the balcony, and everything that was said in that coroner's report is true because I saw it. I've seen that CCTV. No one else has, just this one particular journalist. And so no one's going to say, well, let me see the CCTV. I need to see it as proof, whether that exists or it doesn't exist. Now, you would think, wouldn't you, there will be something that exists to show or not show. But I personally feel that it suited the hotel to have someone come out and say, yeah, definitely, we saw him. He passed out and he just buggered over. He just went whoops, and that's how it all happened. It was just a complete freak accident, whatever, and it suited the hotel's purposes. And as I've spoken about before, you know, the hotel will hide up thefts and anything else because they don't want it. You know, they're supposed to be a high-end hotel. You know, they don't want stolen items on their books, and they'll cover anything up, won't they? So if they're going to cover up stolen items, of course they're going to cover up somebody's death. And if you go in the reviews, there's someone that reviewed an iPad, and there was massive issues with this iPad, and they basically tried to cover it up. And unfortunately, when the people left, they turned the iPad back on, and it triggered the find your iPhone app missing thing. And the person was like, excuse me, rang up and was like, you've got my iPad on in your hotel. It's connected to your Wi-Fi. It's just told me. And they were like, oh yeah. It's just been found in your safe and this, that, and the other. So if they're going to cover that up, a simple stolen iPad, what else are they going to try and cover up? You can't see it. See, it's different though, isn't it? I mean, when you think about the terrorist attack in Tunisia, you would have thought that would have been the end of that hotel. It's all been refurbed and it's been reopened. Now, I could happily go visit and take you on a tour there, to go there for the afternoon and show you the hotel and the grounds. But would I stay there? Would I, hell? But people are staying there. People are staying there. It's open. It's open for business. Could I sit on that beach knowing all the pictures that I've seen? Could I sit in that hotel knowing what I know and what I've seen and the images of the people that I've seen scattered around that hotel? You know, where the bomb went off and, you know, the bullet holes and that, and people, that would just be constantly on my mind when I'm walking around. I did the reconstruction on my video, where it shows you where the route that this guy took when he went round the hotel. And in my brain, I would just be thinking, oh my God, yeah, those poor people that were walking these steps to get to the pool, to the beach, they were shot here. Oh, that's where that guy died, in this little gap here. That would just not be a holiday for me. That would really stress me out, because that would be constantly, the whole time I would stay in that hotel, that would be constantly on my mind. But I suppose if you haven't covered it and you haven't watched it and you don't really care because you've heard it happened but you didn't really pay much attention, so you're completely oblivious, and it's now got a new lick of paint and a new name, and you're not really researching in it, you're not gonna know. But if you know, you know, right? And I know, and because I've researched, I just couldn't stay in that hotel. But equally, I couldn't stay on the beach, even if I didn't know the layout and the route and everything else. I couldn't sit on that beach knowing what happened on that beach, where all that blood was shed on that beach. I just couldn't do it. I could take you there and I'd show you the beach, but I couldn't stay there. I just couldn't do it. But so people will see this hotel as one of these things. They either haven't really paid attention because they don't care, because they've heard about Liam Payne dying, but they haven't actually gone to dug in deep into all of this information because they don't really care that much. And I don't mean that in a nasty way. I mean, just if you're not a fan of One Direction, or you're interested in what's happened here and you want to get to the bottom of the truth, you're not going to be bothered. You'll just think, oh, poor bugger, he's had an accident at his hotel, he's fell off the balcony, and won't think anything of it. And you might go and stay there, you might think about it for a minute, or you might not. Or you're going to go because morbid curiosity, and you're going to go stay there because it happened there. And there's those people that will go and stay there because it happened. And there's those types. And then there's people that will go because they're fans of Liam, and they kind of feel like that might make them a bit closer. Whether they open that room, they might not ever open that suite again. With the Las Vegas shooter, they've completely renumbered the floors, so people can't come in floor hunting. But it is quite evident which floor it is, just through the way in which where he came in, and where the stairs were to the exit, which was where the door was bolted. Which is where the security guard come up. There's something in there that shows you which floor it is on. But unless you're specifically looking for it, you're not going to look for it. They've renumbered the floors. But what they've done now is they've shut that room, that suite off completely. And it's now just like a store cupboard, or it's something, but it's not open to the public. And if you go on that floor, you wouldn't recognize that floor from the images that we've seen, unless you've fully researched it and you see what it looked like now, because there have been people that have gone in there to show you the hotel and the floors and how the numbers have changed. But if you didn't know and you didn't look, you might go, oh yeah, that's that Mandalay Bay where that dude did what he did. And it might not bother you, or you might go just because of that, or you just might not know and just go, because not everybody watches the US stuff and takes an interest in. Not everyone watches the news. So you're going to get people who will and who won't do these things. Yeah, there is people that don't show any respect. And, it's like when I went to Soham, because I'd call her at the vets, and I thought, right, well, I'm near Soham. I wouldn't have driven to Soham specifically to do it, but I was like literally 20 minutes away, and I had a whole day to like literally keep myself busy while she was having her tests and stuff done. And so I went, but I went respectfully, and I did a live, and I made sure I wasn't lingering too long, staring too long, or doing any of all that stuff. And I went down, and I merely went down there to show people what the area was like, the route that the girls took, to show how close in proximity everything was, where the church was, where everyone put all their flowers. And then I ended the live, and then I went to where the grave site was, spent a minute there, and then I was outside it was really weird. I was outside the house where the house was, and it's really weird. But as I got nearer to where the house was at the back of the college, the signal kept going. So I ended the live there as well. Because I kept trying and it just weren't having it. So I ended the live there, and came off it there and just like filmed a little bit of it there. And I still got all that stuff to complete a video with. I just haven't done it yet. But it gives me an idea, and I'm standing here in Soham thinking, how did these neighbours not know anything? Like, you can literally see in each other's windows, for God's sake. And then I had to make sure that I was in the right place, because I wanted to make sure that I had the right area, otherwise there would have been no point. But I wouldn't have specifically gone there out of my way, but I was in the area, so I did it because I was in the area, and I didn't hang around too long. I did what I needed to do, and I got out of there. Yeah, it has been demolished. It's very weird there, and people know that you're not from the area. I could tell. It's one of those. I was in the area, and I was like, yeah, they know I'm not from this area. It's a nice little village. And the thoughts that ran through my head were, will this village ever recover from what happened to Holly and Jessica? Because I can't see how it can, really, because it's always going to be attached to Soham. The minute I see a sign for Soham, if I'm passing, I'm like, Holly and Jessica, straight away. But that's me. And some people don't care, and they'll just carry on. It wouldn't have even entered their head. Some people probably aren't even aware of it. But I would be tending to overthink these things. So I'm the kind of person that if I'm going to go, I'm going to go, and I'm going to show you what it's like, what it actually looks like, what it was like to potentially be there, and then I'm getting the hell out of there. And that's just, that's how it is. But it was really funny because it was really weird at this house, where the house was, because it's not there now. But when I try to get nearer the thing, because it's literally weird, it's at the back of this college. I walked past the college. I said, this is where Ian Huntley came and got rid of the tops and burnt them and everything, and we did all of that. And you go, it's all close, right close to each other, like so close. And then at the back there, where the house was, like I said, I was there, and as I got nearer, the signal just went. It was like, nah. It's like, nah. It's like, are they saying don't be live here? Is it their like spirit or something? So I stopped the live, and I just filmed so you could see where it was, so that I could put it in a video. And it looks really different to how it did when the house was there, but everyone is on top of each other in that little bit as well. So it just amazes me that nobody really saw anything, and nobody heard anything, because you could wave at your neighbour through the window from where they were, and there was houses like right next to where their house was and stuff. Yeah, I would. I'd go. And that is the plan, one day, to be doing these things. But if I'm there, I'll cover it and I'll show you, to show you what it is like, because it's easy to describe. Like now I've been there, I can say it was really close knit. Everywhere was close. Where they walked was such a short distance, because until you do it yourself, you can't picture what it was like. So I would do it. And I think there are ways to do these things respectfully. Like I said, I couldn't stay somewhere where I knew something like that had happened, like with the Tunisia. I've been to Tunisia a couple of times, and I don't think I could ever, to be honest, I don't think I could go back. Not because I'm concerned about any of that, like terrorism or anything, just because it now has it just has that over it for me. But who knows? One day, maybe I will. And I know roughly where it was, because previously I'd stayed, and that road where he was running up down, where they shot him and took him out, I'd walk that road on a regular basis when I was last there on holiday, many years ago. And it takes you down to the beach, And on my last day, me and my husband at the time, we went down there to the beach before sort of getting the bus to the airport. And on the way back, there was a dude. And at the top of this building, this dude was watching a TV that had no roof, no windows, no nothing. He had a sheet going across on a line. And it was just interesting. But I walk that road every day. Every day I walk that bloody road. Now it gives me the heebie-jeebies. Do they? Right, let's come. Right, we're going to Donna's in-laws. Oh no, Donna. That's a bit close to home. He's evil, isn't he? And he planned it so he could unalive himself in prison. So I don't know if this hotel will shut down. The only way I can see that it could be closed down and it went out of business is because, you know, there's been some huge negligence. And who owns it? Because I have been told to Google who owns it. Who owns the Casa Sur? I just want a simple, straight answer, not Brian Harvey's. Nicholas Argetti, Managing Director. Right, we need to do a deep dive on Nicholas Argetti. Some people are saying it's mafia owned. To be honest, I wouldn't go as far as saying it was mafia owned. I'd say they've probably got money, and sometimes, you know, we have to accept that some people who are well-to-do and have money and businesses don't always do businesses in the way that we would expect them to. So, you know, I'll have to look into that. But I can't take Brian Harvey. He's made him. I was reading somebody on one of his comment sections saying he's made himself look like a total nutter because he's going off on one now. Yeah, that's the one. I don't know if I said it right. I used to live near where Myra and Ian lived with her mum. House was demolished. Yeah, that's another place that I would go, just to show the area. It's got to be done delicately, hasn't it? Would I go where Jamie Bulger was? Yeah, I would see. I would go. I think, you know, I would go. I would show you the area, no problem, and then I'd come away. And I certainly wouldn't be taking a selfie of myself going, "This is where this happened." But I would go there. I would go there. Would you not? Interesting. Why would you not go there? I'd go with the other ones as well, the other couple, the other asshole couple. But to be honest, I think where things happen, you can either do it or you can't. But I certainly wouldn't stay knowing. Now, with this, I think if it was the Casa Sur, I'd probably go. Because it wouldn't necessarily phase me in the same way, I don't think. I don't know. I don't think it would phase me in the same way because ultimately, if what I think has happened is that he's scaled down that balcony and fell, then it was an accident. People die in hotel rooms all the time. Like, you know, we come home on flights and there are deceased bodies on them. We just don't know about them. So I think it depends on the situation. But where there's been terror, multiple bodies, bloodshed on the beach, nah, can't be sat on the. And the thing is, I know with the Tunisians and stuff, you know, they'll just wash those lounges down and then put them back on the beach, and that just makes me feel bleh. See? Now Fred and Rosemary West, they were bad. But see, I mean, again, children. I think because I cover all sorts of different things with children, no children, that kind of thing, I would go. I would absolutely go. I wouldn't stay there, and it'd be respectful, and I'd say, look, this is the area, this is what it looked like, this is where this happened, this is how far it took to do the walk for this, that, and the other. Do you know what I mean? But like, I certainly wouldn't stay in a house if it was still there. Absolutely not. No. So let's get back to the topic. So after all the things that we've heard, and there's probably been so much more that I've probably touched on my TikTok lives, but not so much over here, we learn that Liam was actually trying to escape from the hotel room. Now, this is TMZ, and TMZ is trashy. Anyone that promotes Gypsy Rose Blanchard is trashy. But also they're known to be trashy with their news. But people were like, well, hang on, we're being told different stories. Da, 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 da. Now, from what I've read, lots of them are different news articles, and we're hearing them from the hotel's perspective, from the Argentinian journalists' perspective, not actual official documents. Now, TMZ would be really stupid to be talking about official documents from the authorities if they're not official documents, and then the official documents come out later and they don't match at all, right? That would just be really stupid. So my guess is, with TMZ being a big news corporation, they know how to submit a FOIA request in Argentina. If you know, you know, and if you don't, you learn. And same as me, I'm learning how to do these things in the US. I haven't really done it in the UK, but to be fair, I think I'd just get nothing back if I put a FOIA request in. I just feel like you get the bare minimum. But they've obviously submitted some kind of freedom of information, and bits of legal information or or official documents have been given. Now, not everything will have been given, of course. So that's where I think people are getting, well, we've been hearing this, we've been hearing that. I think some of it's been the hotel's version, some of it's been Brian, some of it has been Rogers, some of it has been this other person, and whoever else, Kate, in between. So we're going to go through some of this information. We should all go together. That'd be fun. I could talk, someone could film. So Liam Payne was apparently now allegedly trying to escape from his hotel, and not just kicking off in the hotel and being put in his room. And how it was all framed, it was all hunky dory, like it was just, yeah, we shoved him in his room. And they actually knew that he had threatened to be fair, I could use David to help me with some air shots and, really improve my video stuff, because, I couldn't fly a drone if I tried. Could do with a cameraman, obviously it's all unpaid at the moment, but but when I get famous, we'll talk. Stick with me now, I'll look after you later. So what they're saying is they knew that he was going to escape. But previously, we'd never heard any of that. And of course, they're not going to say, by the way, Liam Payne said he was going to leave the hotel. Yeah. But they were never, ever going to say that. And I don't think that they wanted this out. However, the images have come out. Now, there is a source leaking images. We know that. So it is what that is. But who is this source? Shake their hand. I don't know. But I think if it was someone from the hotel and it was pre-planned, it didn't make the hotel look good. In fact, it just enraged people. Me specifically got very enraged when I saw this picture, because to me, this is manhandling someone against their will. Not cool. And I don't see how the hotel or anyone thought that this would would give them a cover story. Oh, well, we know he was kicking off, but look how you are manhandling him. So we know, right, that he said to them, so they know at this point that he is threatening to leave. And it then makes sense to why, well, they weren't just sort of pre-thinking the head about the balcony, were they? They knew he was going to go, and they didn't say that on the call that we know of in the translation. They didn't say, we've got this guest, he's under the influence, we've had to put him in his room against his will and hold him in there. He can't get out, but there is a balcony and he's threatened to use it. They didn't say any of that. They just played it down and just said, oh yeah, we're a bit concerned, we're just a bit concerned there's a balcony. And they didn't do anything. They just played it down. And what they should have said was, he is high on these substances, we believe. He is threatening to go and scale the balcony because we've locked him in his room. And we thought we'd lock, this sounds stupid, didn't it? We thought we'd lock him in his room for his own safety, on a third floor with a balcony, rather than just putting him in, I don't know, downstairs in the basement with some of the staff, where they might have actually, because he'd had dealings with them, might have actually been able to calm him down, someone to talk to, anywhere but the room, or in another room on the ground floor. But they didn't. They opted to shove him on the third floor with a balcony. And here we are. So this is the point, isn't it? This is that CCTV image. Now, some people are like, how are the people showing this? He's dead in that image. He is absolutely not dead in that image. He's got some colour to him. He doesn't look dead to me. His head is not floppy back. His head, to me, even though they've blurred out his face, his head is in line with his body. Now, obviously, if we see his face and it looks completely different and his head looks floppy, then that would be different. But if you unblur that, you're not going to see that, because if he was floppy, you would be not seeing much of the hair. You'd be seeing more of the colour in the blurring, which is where his face would be, because his head would just flop back, because there'd be nothing holding his head up, because he is no longer alive. He is alive there. And to me, he looks like he is. And if this was footage that we were watching, I think you'll find that we will see him kicking off. So you can see his head here. This wouldn't be like that. In fact, he looks like he's looking off to what would be his left. Is that right? No, his right. So he looks like he's looking towards the reception, which, if you're dead, that's not going to happen, right? And the whole stuff about him being dead in the reception on that laptop, don't buy it. No one is going to stick a dead guest in the lobby of a hotel room where there's people coming and going. Just not buying it. Wouldn't happen. And he definitely, I'm laying money on it, he has got control of his head there, and he is looking in a direction. He's got too much colour, and if he's been dead as long as what they say, try to make out he'd been dead, then he wouldn't be that colour. But then I suppose you could say they could have edited it and put a filter on. Now this one came out after, and you can see that this is supposed to clearly depict here that he's kicking off in the hotel lobby. He is stood there. So he is the one, I think, who is at the back laughing. What did they have to say? I never actually watched this video.
So we put a story up on the website this morning about Liam Payne's death. And I don't think this is an overstatement. I think we know exactly what happened. And I think there is something really shocking behind this, that the three people charged, I'm just going to give my personal opinion, are patsies. They are an excuse to cover up the real offender in this case. And the offender
Once I
is
agree,
the hotel where Liam
TMZ.
Payne died. Because we know, based on all the evidence we've seen, and we've looked at police reports, we've looked at screen grabs of surveillance video, 911 calls, and other evidence, including talking to witnesses, Liam Payne was trying to escape from his balcony when he died.
Right, was trying to get out of that hotel. And the first clue that set us down this path was a still from surveillance video in the hotel. And it shows hotel staffers carrying Liam through the lobby.
Now, we should say, Liam was causing a disruption in the lobby. There was something that happened in the last 40 minutes of his life where he had gone up and down to his room. It's apparent he was drinking. He might have been using drugs, and he was getting erratic in the hotel lobby. He had smashed his computer. So when you go back to that picture, they are carrying him. He's conscious.
Forcibly carrying him.
And by the way,
yeah,
this is so important to know. He is conscious. His head is upright. And we can further show you what.
Struggling with them. And yeah, just minutes before, he's standing.
Right.
And so he's upright. This is not, he's unconscious.
Now, there's more evidence that he's conscious, because go to the hallway outside of his room. On the upper left of the screen, he is struggling with the hotel employees because he does not want to go in his room.
Right. But they used a master key, and they got in the room, and they put him in the room. We also know that they were concerned about.
So is that why he wanted to put tissue in there to stop them being able to use their key? I mean, I know it sounds stupid, but people were like, why would he put the tissue in the lock when Brian was in there? Well, to me, it could either be keep people from coming in or keep people from coming in if he was in the room. But then obviously he'd be able to get out. But unless he was going to take the tissue out himself when I don't know why they did that, but that could be a reason, I suppose. But once he's out of the room, if he doesn't remove the tissue himself, which defeats the object, he can be able to get back in the room if that happened to work, which I doubt it would.
About him breaking things because he was so erratic. They took a mirror off the wall and then locked him in the room.
So here's what we know, and I think this background is really important. Liam hated being locked in rooms. This happened a lot during One Direction, and he even talked about it. He said this is why he became a substance abuser, because he couldn't go out in public. There was a mini bar, and that's what led him down a path. He had actually escaped from a balcony a month before at his home in Florida when a bodyguard tried to keep him in a room, and he used a garden hose to scale down. So this time, when they put him in the room, 5 minutes later, one of the people who carried him into the room calls 911. Listen to this call.
Bueno, tenemos un huésped que está sobrepasado de droga y alcohol, y cuando está consciente está rompiendo toda la habitación, y bueno, necesitamos que manden a alguien, por favor.
Bajo efectos de alcohol y estupefaciente, ¿no, señor?
Sí, correcto. Y necesitamos que nos envíen a alguien urgente porque, bueno, yo no sé si corre riesgo la vida del huésped. Está en una habitación que tiene balcón y, bueno, estamos un poco con temor de que haga algo.
So that always struck us when the first time we heard that call.
Why did they say that about the balcony?
Right.
They said it because Liam threatened. He said, there's no doubt why they would say that, because he told them he was going to leave from the balcony. And that's exactly what he tried to do. We have a lot of evidence to show exactly what happened. When he was in the lobby, he was not wearing a hat. When his body was found, there was a hat and there was one of those bags that straps around his shoulder that he was not wearing. So we know that he had put that on, put the hat on.
And even more, there was a larger bag, like carry-on luggage, that was found on the second floor balcony, right underneath his room.
That was 2 days after he died. Somebody came into the second floor room to hang a painting, and they saw that bag, and they realized it was Liam's.
Yeah,
And what
apparently.
clearly happened here was that he dropped the bag from the third floor balcony to the second.
And planned to get down there himself.
And planned to scale down to the second floor balcony, and then he could jump to the ground, something he had done before because it wasn't that far of a fall. So now the question, who's responsible for Liam Payne's death? This was not a drug overdose. He was under the influence of drugs.
Clearly, right.
But he was trying to get out of that hotel
Apparently
via
not.
the balcony,
Sat there for a couple of
intoxicated.
days.
The hotel knew it, and they shut the door, and they just left him alone, knowing there was that kind of fear that he might fall.
Yeah.
And by the way, when the coroner says he was unconscious, I'm not buying that, because he was conscious all the way up until he got to the balcony.
Right.
So the idea of saying he's unconscious, he was conscious in the lobby, he was conscious in his room, he was conscious when he put the backpack on, he was conscious when he put his hat on, he was conscious when he dropped that leather bag onto the second floor. So
maybe he put his bag and his hat on, and he was, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if this is possible because the balcony looks quite uncomfy. But on that balcony, it's got quite a thick ledge. Maybe he was leaning right over in some weird way or in some way to swing that bag, because I think you'd have to lean quite some way. Harsh reality makes a good thing about would you be able to do it? Apparently, you might be able to just swing it. I don't know, because the balcony is quite high. Did he lean over? Like, was he really like heavy weight over the balcony, swinging and fell? I mean, I don't think that's the case, but it's an option because it just depends. Which way was he? I need to look back at the photos of him. Which way was he laying? Which way was he face, as in where was his feet and where was his head in comparison? Because to be honest, if he's scaling down and falls, then yes, it would make sense that his head was facing one way and his feet where they would be. You would expect that. Or is it where they've moved him to assess the situation? I don't know. But I mean, there is that option that maybe he was leaning in a really weird bloody position to try and throw the bag over because it is a weird balcony, and just and passed out. And maybe that might be why he looked like he passed out, according to the journalist in Argentina. But if he appeared to look like that, maybe that's why. But I still think he was scaling. I'll be honest, I think he was scaling the balcony and went. But you could see how leaning and trying to get over, and then leaning far too far, losing your balance and going, could also cause a fall. It's just a thought that came into my head then. I still think he was scaling the balcony. Not quite sure how he got the bag there. Harsh reality makes a good coverage on that, saying I don't think you can do it. But if you ask Charlie, moderator Charlie, she'll tell you, yeah, well, you actually can. So, because she's done it herself.
I think he just slipped. And now, whose fault is that?
Right. Well, that is the question now. And what will police and prosecutors do in Buenos Aires? We have a producer, TMZ producer, on the ground in Buenos Aires who's been gathering a lot of this information. Brian Andrews is joining us now from Buenos Aires. Brian, this has been an extraordinary weekend of revelation of what's going on down there and what's not happening, apparently, with the prosecutors.
Well, it's very clear to me that the stench of cover-up, possible.
Said that all along from the very beginning. Someone's trying to cover some shit up, be the hotel, because they don't want this mess on their doorstep, and the mess is very much on their doorstep. Just wanted to remind you that I said that earlier on. If you're on my TikTok, you know that, but if you're not, then you don't.
Malfeasance, people pointing fingers this way. It is all over the place, and this is still the biggest story in Buenos Aires. I've been on the ground for a couple of days.
Everybody
We've been
says
beating
that
the streets,
different.
speaking to as many people as we possibly can. And the
Yeah, he
stories that
definitely
we're
was
hearing
conscious at the point he was leaning
are
over. It's whether
leading
he
to the
fell when he
conclusion
was
that you and
leaning, or
Harvey
whether
have
he
been
was
discussing. Clearly,
fell when he
Liam
scaled.
was trying to escape a situation. It would appear that he was taken against his will by
Isn't that
hotel
kidnapping?
security staff to
If you take someone against their will, and lock them in a room, isn't that kidnapping?
his room and then locked in his room. Now, the justice system here in Argentina is nothing like the justice system in the United States or the UK. It just operates very differently. In the United States, there is tremendous transparency. You can look at court records, police reports, arrest information. That is not the case here. I have been personally to the prosecutor's office at least 4 times now, and have been told that no one would meet with me. No one would speak with me. I thought it was a gringo thing and they didn't want to speak to somebody in English. So I flipped to my Spanish. I said, oye, yo soy aquí, yo quiero hablando de esta historia. They weren't interested in talking.
It's because they know that you do a shit job covering Gypsy Rose, given a biased story, because it's TMZ, Brian Andrews, who was a TMZ producer, and I personally wouldn't want to speak to you either. FYI.
However, through our sources, we have developed a cache, if you will, of records connected to this case, which you are seeing on our TMZ website, which do tell the story we believe, that Liam was taken against his will from the lobby, put in his room, and then he put on his hat, his strap bag, and decided he was going to make a run for it down the balcony. What happened? Did he slip? Did he lose his footing? How did the fall happen? That's still to be determined. But we do have a new piece of information. We are hearing from our sources here in Buenos Aires that there is a very strong possibility that a new prosecutor will be appointed as early as this week and basically reopen the case from point zero.
Brian, we should say there are 3 people now who have been charged. There is his very good friend, and I know that there's some dispute whether he's technically charged or not, but he's definitely in their crosshairs for abandonment. He left 40 minutes before when Liam was okay, according to all the video. So they're looking at him for abandonment. They're looking at a waiter for selling drugs and another person. And in terms
Also
of
the drugs,
in terms of abandonment, the abandonment, it seems to me, is on the part of the hotel. They were the ones that threw him in the room.
This is probably really painful for me to say, but this is probably going to be the one and only time that I agree with TMZ.
Shut the door after he said he was going to scale that balcony.
It's the only reason because it never made sense. Why was the hotel manager talking about the balcony?
Right. Because Liam had said it.
Right.
Because Liam had said it. That's why he mentioned it. And I guess, Brian, what I'm trying to figure out is, what is the connection? Why would the prosecutors and the police do somersaults to avoid doing anything to the hotel and going after what I believe are patsies?
That's a really good question, and I've asked it to a number of sources that we're working here in the city right now. I'll be frank with you, there has been the discussion of corruption, outright corruption, extortion. There have been talks of friends and cronyism at the hotel with some of the prosecutors who have been investigating this case.
And I can totally agree that that could possibly be the case.
I have gone personally to try to speak to prosecutors to get the facts from the horse's mouth. The prosecutors will not speak to us because under Argentine law, they don't have to. They only have to present their case to an Argentinian judge, and the court proceedings surrounding this are closed. They are not open to the public. You will not hear anything about these cases officially until a judge in Argentina has rendered a decision. So what we're trying to do is track down everybody involved. I've been to the hotel. I've stood in front of the tree. I've looked through the window. I've been thrown out of the lobby trying to talk to some of the staff. We're going to get to the bottom of this because this is still a huge story. And
so whoever it is probably a member of staff giving him the pictures.
the original story that's out there, guys, it just doesn't add up.
Does not add up.
It never made sense.
Never.
When the day after Liam died, when there was a police official who came out and said flat out it was a suicide.
Yeah.
He jumped.
Right.
And I remember we said at the time, like,
how would they know that?
They must have video. They must have a witness who told them that. But there's nothing that points to this being.
Here's what we know. It's very apparent. Liam Payne was trying to scale down the third floor balcony when he lost his grip and fell. And that is what all of the evidence points to here. By the way, we contacted the hotel. They said no comment.
Of course they're going to say no comment. Of course they're going to say no comment. So I'm going to leave that one there. And we are going to look at, I think it's, let's just leave it on there. We are going to look at the other bits of information that talk about documents from the authorities, what this new timeline looks like, because it's a timeline that we didn't have in the very beginning. It's so because it's like now 8 o'clock and I've got to go live on the old TikTok in a bit. So change over, and it's a lot to go through. That's a lot to talk about. I don't want to bore you. You know, it's been how long we've been on here now? I try and keep them to a reasonable length because, you know, people get bored otherwise. But we're going to look at the newer timeline where we get all this new information from TMZ and this information from authorities allegedly, and that's where I'm kind of like, well, this must have come from some source, because they're going to look really stupid if they turn around and say this happened and that happened at this time if it's not what happened. And when the judge makes a ruling, then that information will come out. Now, the hotel just know that they look bad, and they're going to continue to try and cover this up. And they're going to want to cover their asses, and anything that they can do, and they are doing, to try and make Liam look the bad one, they're going to continue that. But we will just continue to show the information. So I'll be back tomorrow. Oh no, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. It's Saturday, probably about 6:15. It might be a bit of a shorter live tomorrow because it will literally be the document that I will go through. So I'll see you guys on here then, and if you're on TikTok later, I'll see you then, guys. So yeah, do come along and say hello to the old TikTok, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Have a good evening or morning or afternoon. Love to all.